Nobel Prize award-winning author Muhammad Yunus talks about his efforts to expand social business around the world. Mr. Yunus argues that the profit-making power of capitalism can be harnessed to fulfill social needs and build economies. The Ronald Reagan Building in Washington, D.C. hosts this hour-long talk.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I'm so honored and delighted to be here this morning. Particularly, I didn't realize that I'm competing with Sarah Palin. And I would like to give a big applause to all the daring people who organized this, all the names and all the organizations who are behind it. Thank you. And this is very important for me because this is the first event on the book launching, the book that is coming up. And I'm not sure what kind of response I'll get from the book. But each time I had a book, I get a tremendous amount of response from people, very warm response, which led me to do the next one. And that's, again, the last one that I had, the Creating a World Without Poverty, Social Business and Future of Capitalism, that created so much of a response from all around the world, particularly from the young people. And they had so many questions asked as the right to me. And I've been answering these questions in many forums, in many interviews, and in many speeches. And people keep saying that, but you are doing it in a piecemeal manner. Why don't you put them all together? So then that idea came that why don't I put them together? So this is what I have done, is to put them together. I'm sure it will raise many more questions, and it will be fun to answer those questions too. Many of you are familiar and almost personally involved in microfinance. So I don't have to talk about microfinance, but that is not my intention. But while we did the microfinance, many do not realize how many other things we did side by side. And that's a missing part of our work, and which I tried to bring out in my last book. One thing I did right from the beginning of microfinance that we did in the village of Bangladesh, we created something assembling all the ideas of the borrowers and their struggles, encapsulated in something called 16 decisions. They make their own decisions about their life. And one of those decisions is we shall send our children to school and make sure they continue in school. And we took each one of those decisions to follow up to see how to achieve those goals that they have set for themselves, goals actually for their life. And out of them, we created companies after companies. So I look back and I see, whenever I see a problem, I try to address the problem by creating a company. So in the process, we created many, many such companies. Some became formal companies, some remain halfway done companies, never developed into a formal company. One of such things was, at the beginning, I was facing the problem of night blindness among the children of Grameen borrowers in extreme poverty. You see a lot of things, but I had no idea this thing is a common phenomenon in the villages of Bangladesh. Children cannot see after sunset. When the night comes, they become blind. And I couldn't believe that such a thing can happen to these young kids. So I started talking about it to the doctors and so on, and I got the advice that this is curable. This is because of the vitamin A deficiency. So if you can arrange vitamin A, this will cure itself. So they gave us lots of options how to bring vitamin A. One very popular option everybody was recommending is to bring vitamin A tablets. So give these tablets to the children, and gradually they will overcome this problem. And the other one, which they didn't emphasize much, if they can eat vegetables, because vegetables carries the natural vitamin A. After a lot of discussion inside with my colleagues, I decided to do it the other way, with vegetables. And then we started selling seeds. because I thought if people have seeds easily available and good quality seeds, which are not normally is not available, people will gradually love it and will encourage them to grow vegetables. And that became a part of the 16 decisions. One of the decisions says we shall grow vegetable all year round and eat plenty of it and sell the surplus, because people always kind of connected something growing to sell. We kind of reversed that kind of idea that we eat plenty of it, meaning that our children will be eating plenty of it, and sell the surplus. And unless we can finish all, because we have plenty of it, then we sell. It became a very popular program. Everybody wanted to buy the seeds because we put them in 1 penny packet. No matter how expensive the seed is, each packet is 1 penny. And in the beginning, they were not sure what they were supposed to do. So we explained a little bit. And Bangladesh soil is very fertile soil. All you do is just sprinkle those seeds. The seeds kind of jump back, grow, beautiful vegetables. And when you see this fresh vegetable, you feel like eating. Normally, people don't eat vegetables. That's very strange. You can grow it. It's very easy. But people stick to rice. Rice is their main thing, and everybody wants to have lots of rice. Even if it is with salt, they will eat the rice, which creates a lot of other problems. So this is the first time they get familiar with vegetables. In the process, night blindness over time disappeared from Bangladesh. So this was, again, we did it in a very commercial way. We didn't want to lose money on that project, that we want to cover all the cost of operations and making those seeds, packets, and so on. Everything has to be covered. So this is my first kind of reaction to a problem that I saw. And then we started encouraging the children to go to school as a part of 16 decisions. And we achieved that goal, having all the children in school. And then we see gradually, year after year, they're coming to the higher education. When they came to the higher education level, they were very qualified, able to do that, but the financing was not available because parents cannot support up to that level. So we immediately introduced education loan. Again, my reaction to address this issue in a commercial way, but commercial in a quote-unquote commercial way, because that's the whole issue that I'm raising here. Because the moment we say commercial, it looks like somebody's making money out of it. That's not what we did. In a business way, we did that. And as a result, now thousands and thousands of students are in higher education, in medical schools, engineering schools, universities, and many have done their PhDs. Many are working in universities and practicing medicines in all over Bangladesh. And each year, batches and batches coming out as a highly educated people, while their parents are still illiterate the way they were never had this opportunity. So each time I see a problem, I create this kind of thing, and I became fascinated with the information technology. In the 80s, this was something coming up, and I thought, my God, this is the way. This is the way to get the people out of poverty, because if people have the control over the technology, they will change their life, because they have the creativity, they have the energy, simply connecting them with the rest of the world. So what I did, I got the opportunity. I applied for a license to create a mobile phone company and explained to the government agency that we'll create this telephone company to bring telephone in the villages, because in the villages, telephone didn't exist. At that time, there was hardly 500,000 telephone in the whole world. So we thought this would be a good opportunity to bring that telephone and bring it to the villages. And we insisted that we'll give loans to the women in Grameen Bank. The Grameen Bank is all women. We'll give loans to the women to buy cell phones and sell the service of the cell phones. So government agency got very irritated by that. How can you do that? How can you give cell phone to the illiterate woman? What is she going to do with that? Who is she going to call? And so it created a lot of tension. I tried to explain to them. They wouldn't listen to that. But after all those debates and so on, finally we got the license. And we created a company called Grameen Phone and started doing exactly what we wanted to do, bring the telephone services in the villages and give the phone in the hands of the poor women to sell the service. The question the agency was raising that even if she wants to sell, who's going to buy? I said, Anybody will need to make a phone call will have to come to her because she's the only one in the village who has a phone. So there's no other way. They didn't believe that a woman can do that. She has not seen a telephone in her life, etc., etc. I said, I'll take a chance. It became a roaring business. And the telephone ladies, we call them telephone ladies, they became very successful in selling the service, and it became an instant source of money and very quick way to get out of poverty. In the process, telephones started coming to the village because at that time, globally, people never thought that telephones will be needed in the villages. Always thought about it, something commercial, something business world will be using it, business executives will be using it. So I kind of reversed the whole idea. We said, no, it's the poorest women will be using this and make money out of that. So I had several ideas that one, if you can make money out of this and you control a new technology, for the first time, you are having introduced to an absolutely state-of-the-art technology of the world, which is just emerging. And it will change her life. It will change the life of the village. Today, after now, this is 2000, we launched the program in 1997. This is hardly 13 years now. We have over 55 million subscribers of telephones in the whole country. With the population of 150 million, you can imagine every third person has a telephone. You go anywhere, whether it's a kid, whether it's a woman, whether it's a man, whether it's a rickshaw puller, whether it's a boatman, everybody has a phone. So and our telephone coverage in Bangladesh, I can tell you very frankly, is better than the United States. Because everything is covered. There's no single spot where you say you don't have telephone coverage. And this telephone now also carries the internet connectivity and so on. So we created company after company like that, and in the process, Grameenphone became the largest company in the country. It's not just largest telephone company, it's the largest company in the country. So we created the energy company, Grameen Shakti or Grameen Energy, to bring solar energy in the country. And today we have 350,000 solar home system working in Bangladesh. Each month we are adding another 16 to 17,000 solar home system. So it's expanding very well. Again, very business-like way. We don't depend on any subsidy or anything. Usually renewable energy is connected with subsidies and all the government efforts to do that. We have nothing. We just go on, and people like it because they have electricity out of this. And we introduced the biogas plants. Now it's working. And we are trying to improve that. The plant is made of brick and mortar. So recently we are switching to fiberglass. It works much better because instantly you can do that and start the plant right away. And then we have introduced the improved stove, cooking stove, which consumes less of fuel and so on. I think within next year or by 2013, definitely we'll have more than 1 million cooking stove in Bangladesh functioning. So again, they are responding very well, and it's also based on business-like way. It's covering cost. So in the process, I created just about 40 companies. And people ask me, why do you must be a very rich man. You have all these big companies running for you. It's made a lot of money. So they say, oh, you is taking up all this money. I said, no, I don't have any money. I'm just the same way I was. How come you don't have money? I said, I don't own any of these companies. So that became a big issue. Why do you create company if you don't own it? And then I started asking myself, why did I do that if I don't own it? Because I was so focused on solving the problem, I didn't think about owning or something. So I said, maybe this is one piece which is missing in the whole structure of economy. Because then I started looking at what the theoretical structure of economics is in a capitalist system. In that capitalist system, you have only one kind of business. The moment you say business, you mean you're making money. Otherwise, it has no meaning if you're not making money. So that's why when I use the word commercial, I try to quickly put quote unquote, I said this is commercial, meaning something else. So I said, maybe this is what is happening. Then I said, okay. Then I look at it. The whole system is based on the principle that You should be making money, and not only making money, you should be maximizing profit. Then I said, that's a very wrong way to interpret human being. Human beings are not robots. My first response is they are not robots. At least they are not single-dimensional people. People are multidimensional. So the economists take one dimension out of human being and consider that and make us believe that that's what the human being is all about. I said, that's where they went wrong. If you use the word without insulting anybody, basic word is selfishness. If you take the word selfishness and build the whole structure of business out of it, that kind of interprets the whole business principles that you laid out. Everything has to come to me, and I will maximize it. And I don't have to worry about anything else, focus fully on this one, how to maximize my benefit. I said, but people are not just simple selfish being. They are also selfless being too at the same time. If there's selfishness and also there's selflessness. But that selflessness aspect of human being was never used by the economist. So it remained ignored, totally bypassed. So we have an entire structure based on only one element, selfishness. I said, why don't we create business on the basis of selflessness? And that would something to be interpreted like, in a selfish business, everything is for me, nothing for others. So in a selfless business, it will be the other way. Everything is for others, nothing for me. And every human being can do both. We can do business to make money, at the same time we can do business to solve problems. And immediately it becomes something very powerful because I get personally involved in it. Today, when I want to be selfless, what I do, I step outside of business world, I become a philanthropist. I give away my money. That's a charity, that's a donations that I give away. But charity is an important thing, but one problem with charity is the money goes, it never comes back. It achieves the goal, and a very admirable goal, but that money is a one-way money. I said, if we could take this goal, convert it into a business, then the money that we put into that business, let's call it social business or a selfless business, this money will be recycling again and again and achieve a lot, many times more, the same thing, and it will never end. You start an engine which supports itself, never stops. I said, such a powerful thing. Why don't we do that? Then I look back at all the work that I have done. I said, that's the kind of thing I was doing. I didn't realize that. Now, let's call them what fits into this particular category as social business or selfless business, and see how far we can go. So we started creating those companies, one after another, more. Now it's specifically in this design. First we did in this design, it's an eye care hospital for cataract operation. Bangladesh has lots of cataract patients. People take it as a normal aging process. If you grow old, you start losing your eyesight and you become blind. It's a part of life. They don't realize this is just a question of simple treatment, and you get your vision back right away. So the facility that we have in Bangladesh can treat only a small fraction of the total number of cataract patients that we have in the whole country. So the backlog of cataract patients, they don't realize they're patients, they think this is a process of life, is growing bigger and bigger. So we thought we can solve this problem as a social business. So we started creating eye care hospitals. What we do, we treat patients with good surgery, just like anywhere else, charge the market price, and market price in Bangladesh is pretty low. It takes about $30 to get lens implanted, cataract surgery done. And it's outdoor patients. You don't even have to spend any time in the hospital or anything. But we make money out of that by $30. We pass it on to the people who cannot afford to pay. So we charge them a token fee, about $1 or something, so that they can get exactly the same treatment. And each hospital is equipped to do about 10,000 cataract surgery per year. And it became very successful. We started doing one, and we started doing the second one. Because it's self-sustaining, it doesn't matter how many you make anymore. So we did the second one, now we are moving to the third one. In the meantime, some strange coincidences. I met the chairman of Danone, Danone in the American way. We had a discussion, and I invited him to create a social business in Bangladesh. And that led to the creation of Grameen Danone Company, which I have elaborated in the first book and in the second book also on the social business. Now this is updating what happened. And it became a successful company. The social business, because nobody, neither Danone nor Grameen, wants to make money out of it. It's all dedicated to solve a problem. In this case, the problem is the malnutrition among the children. 50% of the children of Bangladesh are malnourished, and most of them are severely malnourished. So the idea that we had, why don't we use this medium of yogurt, since Danone is very good in producing yogurt, to bring nutrition to the children. So what we did, we put all the micronutrients which are missing in the children, vitamin, iron, zinc, iodine, put it in the yogurt, make it very cheap, sell it to the poor children. And the children started loving this yogurt because it's delicious yogurt. And if a child eats 2 cups of yogurt within a week and continues for 8 or 9 months, child gets back all the micronutrients, becomes a healthy, playful child like any other child anywhere in the world. So this is the purpose, how to reduce malnutrition and make the children healthy. And it runs by its own money. Once you put the money in, it generates its own money and continues. Now first plant is fully utilized. Now we are setting up the second and the third plant because the demand is increasing every day. So we thought not just wait for the second, let's do the second and third right away. And if you see more demand, ultimately our idea is we'll need 50 such plants all over Bangladesh to cater to the needs of the children with malnutrition. And it doesn't cost anybody anything because the companies who are owners of the new company, Grameen Danone, they will get back their investment. Because as a company, you pay back the initial investment. And the rest of the company just works out with its own money. So the only thing, owners don't take any dividend after they get back their money. That's it. And it continues, and you own the company. You feel proud that you have done something which governments were trying, international agencies were trying. So these things now, one after another, we created Veolia water company, and with the Grameen Adidas, we produced the shoes for the poor people in Bangladesh. These are all done. And with the Grameen BSF to produce treated mosquito nets to protect people from malaria. Again, as a business, it's a social business. Nobody makes money out of it. So the moment you see a problem, you can come up with an idea of a business and solve this problem. And we are packed with problems everywhere. At the same time, we are packed with creativity. So how to bring the creativity and the problem together in a business way. And today, the technology, the enormous amount of technology the whole world has right now, is so powerful. If somehow this power of technology can be utilized, we can solve all the problems. But unfortunately, this powerful technology is in the hands of business. And what do the business do with this technology? Make money. It's not used for something else. And technology is something which is like a vehicle or a car. It's the driver who decides where to take this technology. Now the driver wants to take it to go to the peak of profit. So they're driving the driver to the peak of the profit. If some drivers say, no, I take this technology to solve a problem, and vehicle will take you to solve the problem. But that mechanism doesn't exist because social business doesn't exist. Government doesn't know how to use this technology. Individual persons don't know how to use this technology, but the business can. So the moment business turns around, say, okay, I can run a business to do this. So each one of these cases that I presented in the book about the Veolia, about yogurt, about shoes, about mosquito nets, these are the core competence of each business, of the one that would. And they said, okay, we can do that. And that way they don't lose money because this is nothing in compared to the billions of dollars they do. This is just a simple thing. I said, to me it's very important because, first of all, you have demonstrated that it can be solved. Second, you created a seed of how to solve this problem, module how to solve the problem. Once you created the module, if you have built the first car, you know how to repeat it and make billions of cars. So we are developing that prototype of each one of these. And all these things can be solved again and again, globally, whatever that problem is, whatever problem we see around us. It's not just Bangladesh, it could be the richest country in the world, doesn't matter. They have problems, they can solve their problems, or any other country. We are now invited by governments to help them to solve their problems by creating social business. First, we were invited in Caldas, a province in Colombia. Governor came and said, we are in a destitute situation. Our province is a totally shattered economy. We need your help. So we discussed this, and we said, okay, we'll set up with your support. You stay away from us because we need space so that we can function. Because once the government gets involved, our fear is all kinds of politics get involved in it. We said, you are good people, but the system may not be healthy for us. So you support us, but try to create a distance from us and support us from a distance. And he agreed. So now we are setting up the structure, how to build all these social businesses to create jobs, create institutions to bring technology to the people, improve the agriculture completely, because creation of job becomes so much easier in a social business than in a profit-maximizing business. It's a very simple idea, because in a profit-maximizing business, creating job is not the goal. It's a byproduct, because your goal is to make money. So when your goal is done to make money, people get employed to run that machine so that you can make that profit, and you are not concerned about what kind of people you are needed. Whatever is needed for your purpose, you pick them up. In a social business, and then you make sure that your investment has at least 30% or more return to your investment, otherwise you will not be investing. Imagine a social business, say, I want to create jobs. That becomes the objective of the company. It's not a byproduct. So you can design the whole company to do that specific task. And you are not worrying about getting 30% return on investment. As long as it's 0%, 1%, 2%, you are fine. So that it can continue, and you have little surplus to expand or whatever you want to do. That's it. But you have created something. And you want to focus on a particular group of people, not just anybody, I'll give a job. Suppose you want to give a single mother. Then you create a business to employ as many as possible, maximum number possible single mothers. Or you want to create jobs for the blind people. You can design a social business just specifically for solving the problem of blind people or welfare recipients. We address the whole business to get the welfare people out of welfare. That's a social business. It can be done. So we have tried many ways, and Caldas would be quite a challenging task because for the first time we're doing in a broader framework. And then Prime Minister of Albania came up with the same appeal that we are in a bad shape. We are the poorest country in Europe. Nobody notices us. We have so many poor people. But we need our country to get this poverty out, and we need your help. So we are trying to set up a series of social businesses in many different directions in that. The last one is Haiti. When the Haiti earthquake happened, lots of people were pouring in all the relief from everywhere, billions of dollars. And in one meeting, I was saying that it's good that the human response came out with such an enormous way that showed how caring the human beings are. But the method is not the quite right one, because Haiti doesn't have much of a structure to use this relief in a good way. So lots of it will be probably wasted. I said I would appeal to people to put, say, a percentage of this money they're giving as a relief to go into a social business fund for Haiti, so that you can build up one after another social businesses in a permanent way, so that it creates a structure in a permanent way, solve all the problems of Haiti along the way. And not in day one, everything will not be solved, but if you created a fund which will invest in social businesses, you start a process. which is a lasting and growing process. And if it is successful, it will touch everybody's life over time. So many people responded very positively. So we created that fund, Haiti, Social Business Fund for Haiti. And we are starting the program in Haiti to bring technology, to bring job creation opportunity, change the structure of agriculture in a social business way, not to make money out of them, but to solve the problem there. And do the afforestation. Haiti has almost became barren. It's a beautiful island. It could be covered with trees as a social business. It's a very attractive social business to do the forestry and so on. So there are a lot. Transportation could be another social business. And there's a series of things one can do. So this is what we are looking forward. So coming back, so the economic crisis, the financial crisis, with the social crisis, with the food crisis, all the crises that we are carrying with us, it tells you something. There is some fundamental flaw in our conceptual framework. We are not looking at that. We are trying to solve in a band-aid fashion, fix it, throw some money. Like Europe has just decided to give $1 trillion bailout. $1 trillion bailout. It's easy. But to talk about why we did that, governments pushed out a lot of money to solve problem with the government subsidy and so on. It didn't carry us to the result. So if you had created something institutional which sustains itself, we will not be this crisis. And only thing that is because the fundamental flaw in our thinking, in the structure and the concept. If we do not address the fundamental flaw, we'll up for many more trouble. So this is a good time, the crisis time is a good time to address that fundamental flaw. And I'm suggesting that restructuring, redesigning the conceptual framework, economic theory, so that we can put this idea of social business at par with the profit-making business. And probably that will help us a lot in redirecting our energy and creativity and our technology in addressing the issues that we have piled up over years. And that is the subject matter of the book. Thank you very much for your support. Thank you.
We've got time for some questions, and I think we have 2 floor mics. If you'll line up at the mics, and Yunus will answer the questions, and then we'll do the book signing. So please go to the mics because we're on C-SPAN. So the mics are here and here. Mike and Deanne are going to be on the mics. Book signing will queue up on this side and walk through to sign. If you'll look in your books, most of the books are already signed. We don't have time for personalization. So if your book is not signed, we'll do that after the questions. Thank you.
Okay, I guess I'll start. Thank you very much for the talk. It was extremely inspiring, particularly for those of us that studied economics and felt something was wrong the whole time. I have a question. I read a little bit of your book so far and noticed that there were a lot of European companies, French and German. And I'm not sure how much you get into this in the book, but I sense a serious cultural resistance to what you're saying. Particularly, focused in Wall Street, but largely in a capitalist nation, individualized nation, there might be some problems with this notion of selflessness because all of our training and our education is geared towards take care of yourself first, then take care of the rest of the world. And those of us that have been bridging 2 worlds, I come from Iran, which is very socialist and communalist oriented, we're always battling with what's the right way to go. I think you've got a good theory for it. It's both. But I just wonder about how you expect to sort of discuss this with American companies, perhaps, and cultures that are less amenable to it, perhaps.
Well, a quick response to that would be, I assume that all human beings carry the same kind of feelings. There's no distinction between one country to another country. But there is distinction in the way you grow up, environment in which you grow up. That may emphasize one or the other more or less kind of thing. But once we emphasize on making money a lot, so we are kind of built by putting some glasses, profit-maximizing glasses in our eyes. So we see the world in a profit-maximizing way. We cannot, if you say, no, there's another kind, we can't believe that because we have the glasses on. So what I'm trying to make an effort that can we take these glasses off for a while, just as a trial basis, and put on the social business glasses on, then you see the world completely differently. Then you become aware. So I'm not saying this person, because he or she has that glasses, he is completely done with. It's not. It's simply waiting for an experience. Once that experience comes, she becomes or he becomes the same human being as anybody else. So this is the process that we go through. So I will not say that is permanently done in one way or another. It's a transformation because once the structure of the economy, structure of the theory is done in one way, you believe in that and you behave like that. So that's why it's very fundamental that we go back to the conceptual framework in order to do that. Now we can do that, but as a rebellious action. That I don't believe in what you're doing, I do that. So it doesn't have to be rebellious. You have to this thing gives people option. I'm not saying close down the profit maximization. That's not what I said for a moment. I said there is another kind of business. You can do it too. It's an option. If you want to, you can do that. And many people will do that after you become aware. Yes, it sounds good. I can do that. Particularly young people whose mindset is still not solidified yet. Because if you are in the senior position, you got absorbed into it, you've argued about it, and you believe in it, what you're saying. So it's not very easy to go back to the 0 point. So for young people, it's possible. That's why young people get very excited. They want to touch people's lives. They want to create a new kind of world, which is not possible with the structure that we have. What do we tell young people? Have a good degree and a good job. And good job means go somewhere, make the owners of the company make more money. That's it. Is this what the world, life is all about? They don't believe it anymore. So they are looking for options. This gives an option.
I'm sorry. Could you talk a little bit about the leadership difference on corporations? Here, it's a top-down mentality. How does someone develop, like a problem occurs? How do they solution it in the leadership within the companies of social business?
Same people. When we did with the Danone or Veolia or anybody, these are the same people who work for the profit-making part of Veolia come with us, work for social business, and they get very excited about it. One of them was saying that I'm stopped at the corridor in my office every time. Somebody will say, oh, you're doing a great job. Can you get me involved into this? These are the people who run the regular money-making business. But the fact that this person works something in Bangladesh and it excited everybody in this office, at the corridor, they stop you, they start talking to you to get an opportunity to get involved in that kind of thing. So it's the same person. Given the opportunity, it comes out. The person from the Danone side who was the most active in creating this was chairman himself, Frank Ribot. So same leader who makes billions of dollars profit, and the same guy who does a social business with a lot of enthusiasm, lots of gusto, and all his associates are equally enthusiastic about it. So I wouldn't say that there is any difference in that. It's a question of, again, to getting into your mind. So if my friend, another CEO of another company is doing it, then I start thinking, hey, I should be doing better than him.
Yeah.
What does he think of himself?
It's the salary difference. I'm
No,
not going to make as much.
No, it's not the salary thing which is kind of exciting people. It's the thing that I'm touching people's, I'm solving a problem which was never solved before. That's the most exciting part of it, that I can do it. Yeah.
Good morning, Dr.
Good morning.
Yunus.
Okay.
Thank you very much for being here today with us. My question is about impact and measuring the results. There are a lot of good theories and lots of great programs in the world today, but I think what's important is to know, what are the results of the programs, what are the impacts that it's actually having, and I think if we can prove this, then we can convince more people, more CEOs, that this really does work. So what are your ideas on impact?
Well, again, to be specific, like in Danone, we produce yogurt. And that's a social business. But many other people will be producing yogurt for making money. So if it's a money-making yogurt company, if you are owner of that company, you'll be asking at the end of the year, your CEO, how much money we made this year. In a social business yogurt company, you'll be asking your CEO how many children got out of malnutrition. So he has to report, because that's the purpose of the company. So what you say, impact, that's built into the company itself. Otherwise, that company would not have come. First, the company has to have a problem to solve. You've defined the problem. And then when you design it, you have to answer the question how you're solving that problem, at what speed you're solving the problem. When the CEO says X number of children got out of malnutrition this year, then the board will say, oh, you should do better than that. Why don't you try to do twice as much next year? What do you need? You need money, you need our support. So, okay, let's talk about it. How to make double the size of impact. So this is how impact is a part of that business. It's not a separate, I make money and then find out how many people got jobs. Because that's not what I intended. I intended to make money. So then as a side question, I'm asking, did we create some jobs in this? How many? But we don't want to give away our profit part of it. The impact comes as a side story. Here is the prime story. That's the only story that you figure. In Veolia, in water, you find out how many people are drinking safe drinking water, because that's the company CEO has to report. If it's a social business, whether you're achieving the goal or not, this is essential. Otherwise, it's not a social business. You are not achieving the goal. In mosquito net, how many people are using? How many, whether a whole village or whole community is free from malaria now? There used to be malaria patients in this village or in this cluster of villages, so many per year. This year, there isn't any. That's the result. Because that's the company is working for, not for making money out of the mosquito net. The whole purpose is to see that nobody gets into malaria or dengue or such other fever, and that's a problem. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
There's an Indian economist named Ratanlal Basu who says that our notion of development is incomplete because it doesn't count for the moral and spiritual development as well. And I would argue that goes for the giver as well as the receiver. I'd be interested if you could comment on any transformation you've seen within the business people that you're working with on these projects.
In a profit maximizing, it becomes clouded a little bit, because no matter what you say, we are social, we help people, and so on, because the company's performance is evaluated by the industry by looking at the Wall Street results. What is in the stock market you're gaining or you're losing, and so on. And that losing and gaining comes whether this company has a good prospect of giving you a bigger dividend or lesser dividend, and so on. So ultimately it goes back to that. The rest is, most of the time, is window dressing. That, okay, we are also helping people. See how good we are doing this thing too. But the ultimate thing, the CEOs are graded how much money you made for the shareholders. So that way, other views get lost. But social business, it's a package. Because what good is helping people to get children get out of malnutrition if they are not doing the next thing in a better way, building a better life? To give an example, a specific example in Grameen Danone, because we faced it very clearly. When they first brought this container, which has the yogurt, I asked the question, what kind of material are you using for the container? I said, well, this is a plastic that we use everywhere in the world. I said, in social business, plastic is not allowed. I said, well, how come? We do it everywhere. I said, everywhere you're a profit maker. Here you're a social business. So it may be a small company, very tiny little company here, but it's a social business. You do not want to do things which is not social. So plastic will be not social. So they said, what do we do? I said, you find biodegradable materials to do that. We don't want to see whole Bangladesh littered with these plastic containers all over the place. They were very unhappy with that because they thought everything is set. Now I have upset them. For 3-4 months they went around, and finally one day they came back with the beautiful containers. They said, oh, we found it. Look, we have made it with this new material, which is biodegradable. I said, congratulations, you have done this, you see. If you wanted it, you could solve it. You have done that. Well, where did you find it? So we found it in China. And the material is cornstarch. I said, wonderful. We have solved a big problem. said, can I eat it? I said, why do you want to eat this stuff? This is not something you can eat. I said, why should poor people pay for this, something which they have to throw away? Why can't you make something which is edible and put nutrition into the container itself? He said, we have no such material. I said, today you don't, but tomorrow you will. It's all a question of addressing that issue. If you don't address it, it will never get done. You have to raise the question and find the solution. If you just accept the way it is, the world will be remaining in 2010 permanently frozen. It will not change. So you have to keep on questioning. I said, but we doubt whether we can do that. I said, you have to work very hard to come up with that. He said, maybe it will take a year or more. I said, why didn't you find it in 6 months? So they went back to Paris with their big research facility that Danone has and asked those scientists to do that as a priority thing. When I was visiting Paris a couple of months later, the scientists came to see me. At first I thought they would be upset because I asked them. They were so happy. Said, nobody asked this question before. Now we are excited to find that material. And everybody is busy trying to come up with an idea first, what kind of it is, and how to make it edible and put the nutrition into the container itself so that nothing is wasted. So this is how it is done.
Dr. Yunus?
Oh, sorry.
Yes, okay. There are a lot of compelling stories in parts of the underdeveloped world about how your model with the Grameen Bank has been successful. And then there are also many communities here in the United States that have been devastated economically over long periods of time. And those problems have been compounded recently with the subprime crisis. Sure. So for communities, whether it's Selma, Alabama, or Detroit, Michigan, what is your assessment of the difference in the environment for institutions and companies like this to take place, and why is that environment different if it is?
Environment is because the practices are grown in a certain way that you said, this is not my issue. Why should I get involved with that? My issue is how to get money, how to get a house, how to get a car, how to get a vacation. This is my issue. If somebody is suffering, this is their fault. Look, I was an immigrant, I did this, and I've changed my life, I used to do this, and now I'm a big guy. So he should have been done this same thing. So I cannot justify everything. I don't have to do anything for him. This is a basic kind of attitude. But if it is, with the idea of social business comes, if I'm in the school, I've learned in my textbook there are two kinds of businesses, one called profit-making business, another called social business. It does this, this one does this. I'll be prepared. Should I do social business? Should I do money-making business? I like this social business idea. Maybe I should do that. Then how do I feed myself? Maybe for a while I do the profit-making, and then after that I'll do the social business. At least there's an option. I can decide what way I would like to do. Or I will do both, so that I can make money for myself. I'm successful as a businessman, making money. At the same time, I'm using this money to change the problem, exactly the problem you said. Then I'll sit down how to design a problem, design a business to address this problem. Those who lost their jobs, who are permanently suffering from this lack of opportunities for them, how to bring those as a business, as a social business. So, and young people will be forming their groups to address one kind of business, social business, and addressing another kind of social business, and put them on the website, competing with them. Look, our idea is better than your idea. And they will come up. So those ideas will be addressed. Today, there's no such exercise because we have no room for that kind of business in our world. So that's the problem. So the structure has to create a space, create doors so that I can go through that door. Today, that door doesn't exist. So all I'm trying to do, tell people that, look, this door can exist. And if you wish, you can take that door. If you don't want to, nobody will force you to do that. But if you want to, of course, that will be done. So that's the young people will be able to. And some people who are, another category which comes very quickly to my mind, people who are about to retire. They say, what do I do after I retire? That's a worrisome thing. This is what I'm going to do. I'll create social business. I have all this expertise. I know what it is. And I can try it out. And social business doesn't have to be a mega business. It could be just a tiny little business because I'm developing a prototype. All I have to do, take, say, 10 unemployed people out of unemployment. And I've hit the jackpot because I've done that. Everybody will come to learn from me. How did I do it? And everybody say, hey, I can do the creating of 10 jobs, no big deal. I'll do that. If all of us is doing the 10 jobs, there'll be no people unemployed. We'll be competing to find unemployed person because we have an idea to implement. There is no unemployed people. What do you do? So those are the kind of situation that we can do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yunus, for coming over here.
Thank you.
And giving us this enlightening talk. I have two specific questions. You have very successfully established the village bank, the Grameen Bank. In our country, the inner city is bogged down with violence, 18-year-old getting shot, 50-year-old principal getting shot, and 4 kids getting shot in the same day. So the violence is the problem in the inner city, black and white both involved. And I think the solution is that because they don't have anything to show for, they're getting involved into violence, and they should be engaged into businesses, young kids, and then they will stay away from violence. Would you be willing to start an inner city bank here in Washington, D.C.? I mean, just recently, 50-year-old white principal, he was shot dead in his own house, and 4 kids from 14 to 22 shot dead in one drive-by shooting.
Yeah.
So if you have an inner city bank here, we could take care of this violence problem. The second problem that faces us here is the spread of HIV infection. According to the CDC, 50,000 Americans have gotten, that was a prediction for 2009, 50,000 Americans getting new HIV disease. These are the facts, okay? And there is no cure for the disease, but it can be prevented from spreading from one to another. If it is prevented, HIV can wither out by itself. Sure. So would you be interested to starting an inner city clinic, HIV clinic? I'm a physician myself. I would dedicate my life to the prevention of the spread of the disease and to take a control over that. And the third point, while I was standing here...
Can we do the first two?
That's only a suggestion for you.
Yeah, my answer is easy. First of all, you elaborated this. My first response would be, let's work together to find a social business solution. Yes. So one way, now that they have a structure, we can work on it. We can create inner city banking as a social business. And actually, Grameen is working in New York City, in Queens, and also in Manhattan, in Brooklyn. And this week, we'll open a branch in Manhattan. And one branch will be started in D.C. This year. So this is in that direction. But this will not solve...
Thank you.
Yeah. But that will not solve everything. This is important to bring financial services to the people at that level. But at the same time, you can create many other kind of social businesses to address these issues. We have instances, when you read the book, probably some of them will be narrated there. In a social business where you're trying to address the drug addicts, rehabilitate them. They are totally addicted and impossible to get them out. But there's an initiative now going on in helping them become a good citizen and stay away from it and give them a complete rehabilitation as a social business. So if you can come up with an idea, first identify the problem, then all we have to do is sit together how to design it in a way it can be solved in a business way. There are many attempts in NGO world, in a government world, to do it in a charity way, in a handout way, in a kind of a philanthropist way. This is very important. One good way to look at those solutions, how they do it in a philanthropy way, because they have long experience. They have done wonderful things there. Take this and see how to bring it at a business level. All you are doing few steps up in the business direction. Then you got it. You don't have to start from zero. Already instances are there. But the question of can you help get it to the business level so that it survives by itself. You don't have to go on fundraising every year and remain uncertain whether we can run our program next year or not. So that's it. So all these problems can be addressed, and we do in Bangladesh. We are trying to address some of them, not that all of them we can do. Like we have started a nursing college, because the daughters of Grameen families, after education, high school education, they just get there and get married, have children, nothing else. They don't go to work. Their families don't allow them to go to the cities or something. So we said, why don't we set up nursing colleges and bring these young girls in the nursing college, give them a world-class nursing education, and give education loan to these young girls so that their parents don't have to pay a penny out of this, and then guarantee them jobs, because we have plenty of nursing jobs in Bangladesh. And internationally, there is a big demand for nurses. They can work inside the country, outside the country. So the first one is working. We said only few nurses will come out every year. So we want to see if you can produce 1,000 nurses per year. So we want to create a series of nursing colleges, young girls without jobs, without any opportunity to do anything. And there's plenty of jobs waiting. They can't find people to do that. So we can kind of bring the two problems together and have a solution for both of them.
Great.
So this is one way to address. I'm giving one example. There are many other things which can be done, but not been done yet. So that's where we are.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is my third point, is that a suggestion to the Dan who's looking for the food that you can eat, the cups as well as the yogurt. How about ice cream cones?
Yeah, that's how my discussion came. I said, look, ice cream cone. I remember ice cream cone, so I like the ice cream. I like the ice cream cone. I love it. Why can't you come up with something like that? He said, well, the ice cream cone will not help here, because it will absorb things, it will deteriorate, and so on. So we need something which will be just right for yogurt. So they're working on it. Ice cream cone has been in discussion for a long time.
Thank you, Dr. Yunus.
Thank you.
We have time for two more questions, one from each microphone.
Yeah. Okay,
Dr. Yunus. Thank you for coming today. It was really inspiring. My name is Cherry Quanyan. I'm with the Smith School of Business, and I'm also a fellow Fulbrighter, so it's always great to meet someone such as yourself. I have just in business school, we always talk about what are some quick business takeaways, and so as a social entrepreneur, CEO in training, if I could ask you, what are some of your takeaways as a social entrepreneur when you were starting? And specifically also, I love the concept of how when you're describing, kind of doing 5 projects in one, that's almost the way social entrepreneurship works, and I'm on board with that. What is a key takeaway in terms of when you're doing hybrid business structures where you have collaborations between, nonprofit entities at the grassroots level, government entities, to establish that trust and the trust with the money? And for example, in my case, I work with, different women's groups creating handicrafts in Thailand, and now I'm approached by the embassy to handle procurement of money and things of that nature. And like you encountered, sometimes people are skeptical of where the money's coming, whether it's from corporate or government. It's not even a matter of can you get the money. The money exists. It's like you said, the money exists, but how do you develop that? What is your key takeaway for establishing the trust to continue that?
Okay. Yeah. One thing is we are not hybrid. We are not talking about hybrid. It's a very pure thing. Hybrid where you make money and do some good. When you mix that, that's something else. We are saying that this is completely, it's almost like this room is a non-smoking room. So you're saying hybrid means there'll be some smoking. Yeah. I said this is a non-smoking zone. Social business is a kind of that zone where you don't think about profit at all. That's why I said selfless. Any tinge of any selfish interest, it will ruin it. It has to be totally selfless. You do it because you want to do it for others, not for yourself. And they are not waiting for donations. That's why it's a business. They are waiting for investments. If you are ready to invest for the same reason that you share this idea that you can get malnourished children out of malnourished status, join us in the company, buy shares of the company. You buy shares in the company. So it's not kind of a compromise. You come where the money is coming from. We don't ask that question. You're buying the shares. And you are clear that out of these shares, you'll never get any dividend. You get your money back. If you put $1 million into this company, you'll get your $1 million back over 20 years, 30 years, or 10 years, or 5 years, whatever period that we have talked about. So here we have no hybrid situation. It's a very pure situation. And the sources of funds, now social business funds are being created. Many places. I just talked about Haiti Social Business Fund. In Caldas, in Colombia, we are also building a social business fund. The people who want to invest here in the social business fund, they are told very clearly, you'll never get any dividend out of this company, this investment. But you'll see what we do. It's this is what you'll be enjoying, that yes, this is a problem that is solved, and I'm instrumental in helping designing these things and making investment in it. So that's the way it is. It's a business. Everything else is business. But the goal is very different. And the objective or personal benefit is totally eliminated. So if you think about non-smoking area, then you'll remember what we are talking about. Yeah. You can't say, can I take a puff? You can't take a puff. Sorry.
Great takeaway. Thank you.
Thank you.
No smoking.
We'll take one last question over here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Yunus. That's a very inspiring talk. So you shared some successful examples of your social business. So I'm curious about those not so successful examples. And but apparently you have very good business sense, or business intuitions. So I wonder, do you have any tips about how to get a sense of whether this is going to be a successful business or not? Or how do you maximize the successful rate of your social business?
Yeah.
Thank you.
The way I tried to explain that issue in the book and saying that when you're first trying to fly, you put on wings on your back and try to jump over the cliff, and it doesn't work. You die sometimes or lose your limbs or something. So those experiences you have to go through. If you say, the moment I do it, it will work, you are in the wrong world. It doesn't work that way. Even something you're 100% guaranteed is going to work, you'll find out problems. You got stuck. Something changed suddenly and everything fall apart. So you go through all this experience, but don't give up. And finally you found the way to design something, it's working, and you're looking at it, you are very happy, and you thought you conquered the world, that you have done that. But when your next version of the same thing comes, you'll be laughing at the one you did before. So crude version. Like everything starts with a crude version. Even the plane, when it was made, it was a crude plane which is hanging from the ceiling right now. Right here in this city. You'll be laughing at that. But that changed the world. So your first version will be a crude version. But it functions, it works. Like first telephone, first mobile, first mobile you have to carry all the equipments with you and then set it up and then make a call. Today you just pick it up and touch and you call. Yeah? It changes. So first version will always be like that. Sometimes it will work, sometimes it won't work right away, but you keep on working, and you found a way to do it. This is the way it will happen. Because you are addressing a problem which is there for years and years, for generations. Nobody did anything. Your first touch and it will disappear, you don't expect that. And you said, I talked about successful companies. When you read the book, you'll not say that anymore. How difficult it was at every step. It almost disappeared. The whole company disappeared. Grameen Danone totally appeared. But we pieced it again. And those are the stories of how, again, another idea came, we put it together and started working again. So I'm telling the result right now, but we have gone through about 3 years or 4 years of experience right now. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.